Number 5, Notre Dame falls at home to Northern Illinois, and for the third straight year, we are talking about an Irish letdown. We'll talk about it next on Golden Domer's Report.
By Samauja, inside the 20, inside the 10, he's going in! Notre Dame has scored!
Go! You will be that driving force to motivate those coaches and those players to beat Southern Cal!
Notre Dame is relevant again.
The 20, the 10, 5-5 rocket touchdown!
Notre Dame is number one!
It's a game of who's going to flinch first. We know that it won't be Notre Dame.
Well, hello again, everybody. I'm Landen Trailer, joined by John Richards and Logan Trailer. Dylan Kearns is working currently, so he will not be joining us, but he sends his embarrassment, as all of us do. Notre Dame loses 16-14 to Northern Illinois. Before I turn it to the panel, a shout out to Brian Kelly, because we are sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about a Notre Dame Fighting Irish home opening letdown to a team that we should not even be, to a team we should beat. I'm not going to say we shouldn't be in a game with, because Ball State gave us a run for our money a couple times. We've seen a couple other teams give us a run for our money. Notre Dame should never lose to Northern Illinois. Notre Dame should never lose to Marshall. Notre Dame should never lose to a one-win Stanford team. Yet here we are again in the Marcus Freeman era, talking about a pathetic performance from his squad. JR, please just talk us through the embarrassment of this pathetic, putrid, sickening performance in South Bend.
You know, I've been really trying to find the right tone, find the right words.
There is none.
For the last 24 hours. I've been trying to think of a worse loss in my 48 years of being a Notre Dame fan. And I can't find anything worse than what I watched on Saturday. I still can't find the words. I can't really comprehend what took place. Now, you know, I hate to say I told you so about a few things, and I thought I was wrong about some things that I, kind of threw out there and suggested. Our quarterback, our coach, 16 points. I said they would score 16 points. I'm not shocked at all by that. But there are so many things to discuss and regurgitate.
Another word.
How about that one for you? Because that's what that performance made me want to do. 16 points. The defense, where they weren't great, but 16 points, you should win that game. I mean, so this is not, and maybe this is the troubling part. This is not unprecedented. This is the second time in year 3 now. And I thought we were over it. This is kind of what goes beyond all the logic. Last week, how can you go on the road into that environment with all that going on, their home opener, and you come out with a victory? You walk out of there with a fairly convincing win, and you come home to your home opener as the 5th-ranked team against an unranked team from the MAC, and you can't score more than 14 points. I mean, and, we got all the same coach speak after the game and the coach's press conference and examine this and go back. I'm tired of hearing that. Way beyond that, coach. Way beyond that. I'm not sure what's going to happen next long term, and I don't want to be knee jerk and reactionary, but it's hard not to be. It really is, because it's, for me, I'm in this for national championships, which I haven't seen since 88 when I was 12. You guys have never seen it.
No, we haven't seen any.
You've never seen it. So it's hard for me to fathom a coach losing to the likes of a one-win Stanford team at home, Marshall, NIU. We got to play Miami of Ohio in 2 weeks. What are they going to do to us? And I'm not joking about that. They have a good coach. They have an NFL linebacker. They have a protege NFL quarterback in a Gabbert there. I mean, I'll stop there and turn it over to you guys, because I don't know. I do know.
We know. We all know. We know. Logan, just go. I don't even know how to bridge this right now. Just talk, speak.
I'm with JR. There's so many angles and approaches that have went through my mind to kind of dissect this game. And from a coaching standpoint, it's a absolute failure across the board. It's unacceptable, but it's sadly, in a way, accepted. Like I don't think we're like, yeah, we're shocked, but it's not like, whoa. Like it's, we're saying, oh, here we go again. We talk, he says all the good things. It's like kind of like we were talking about last night. He says all the good things, but what's actually being taught, like what's actually being evaluated, and what's being preached. And when you're in year 3 in JR and your coaching background, you expect your culture to come into play. You start to see it a lot more, especially in year 3. You start to, get your own guys in there. And obviously there's not buy-in from those guys. I don't know why we have captains. I really don't, because it goes down to, yeah, our coaches could be really bad. Like BK, his teams, he may not have coached well, but those guys found a way to win a game, whether he called a good game or a bad game. With Freeman, what's alarming about him, and he said it in his press conference after the game, he said it on national television before the game. You bring in Riley Leonard, and he mentions, hey, Riley's got to do what he's got to do, or he's got to do what he's got to do by running the football, doing what we do, listening to his coaches.
Yes.
Okay.
The direct quote was he needs to do what the coaches tell him to do pregame. Yes.
And my biggest problem is, we can harp on Riley. Riley was awful last night. But there's a common denominator when you bring in Sam Hartman, who was arguably a top 10 quarterback at Wake Forest in the country. You bring him into Notre Dame, not very good. Riley Leonard, same situation. Like it's a little mind-boggling. And, I mentioned it, transfer portal might be a bit of a scapegoat, but at some point, they just come to Notre Dame and they suck. Like, is that the justified answer? Like, yeah, he's just not good enough. Like, that's what's troubling to me. It's like Riley Leonard was a top 5 quarterback last year before he got hurt, comes to Notre Dame, and now, we haven't even thrown a passing touchdown yet in 2 games.
Right.
We haven't completed a pass over 20 yards.
Right.
So, that's pretty subtle, pretty sad. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing to, ultimately have this conversation, but this program, like I said, it feels just ballless. No way.
What is really frustrating, and I thought we were kind of beyond that this year, is that I thought we were, all the same questions from all the same people about all the same things for all the same length of period of time of the season. Here we are. It's not even September 10th yet. So year 1, it was Stanford and Marshall. Year 2, it's you can't count. You can't go on the road and put together a cohesive and sound performance that puts you in a game. Year 3, it's Northern Illinois. It's your home opener. Like, and you bring these other guys in from other places, and all along, you can't tell me we can't get that out of the guys that we already have, that have been here before, that have put in the time. Yeah, the bowl game's the bowl game, but that guy in the bowl game certainly looked competent, and he has played, backup moments. He's inexperienced, but it's not like he's never played before. It's not like he's a true freshman. He's a big, strong, junior now? We could have got that from Minchie.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So how does number 4, Love, only run the ball 11 times, only once after that run. I mean, that is gross negligence at best. It's malpractice at worst. And, you know, it goes back to that pregame chat about Riley Leonard has to do what he's being coached to do and what his coaches are telling him to do. 2nd and 1, you gave him the option to make that decision. Game time. There's no decision to make if you tell him to hand the ball off and just let the other guy do the work on 2nd and 1 with 5 minutes to go and a 1-point lead, and you're already at midfield. So, yeah, it's Riley Leonard's fault for making that throw and making that decision. But you know whose fault it is for putting him in that position? When putting those guys in that position, it's our coach's fault. Mitchell Evans had 3 receptions. Those guys totaled 14 touches between the 2 of them. And you know what they thought? Oh, we'll take the brakes off. We'll skate by. We'll win this game. We won't put anybody in danger because we don't want to get hurt. And it all backfired. Laissez-faire, nonchalant. We'll pull it out at the end. Yeah, they pulled something out.
Yeah, they did. You know, they looked very unprepared as well. You could tell from the defensive side in the first quarter, Northern Illinois, it was a lob pass right over the corner, burnt coverage after burnt coverage. We were out-coached completely. All credit goes to Northern Illinois. I mean, I know we sit here and harp on them for losing to them, but hey, good group of guys, good group of young men, good coach. They're very well coached.
Wanted it more.
Yeah, exactly. I was just getting to that. They wanted it more, and they outplayed us all day long. All day long. There was no effort I saw from the Irish defense. We looked half asleep. We were just going through the motions of the game, it looks like. There was no specific player who stepped up and said, all right, guys, wake the fudge up now. Wake up. All right, come on. There was no single player who did that. What about the gold captain star? Who on that team wearing the gold captain symbol is going to step up and say that? Nobody did. Nobody did. Our supposed golden boy quarterback from the transfer portal, Riley Leonard, went 20 for 32 with 163 freaking yards, 2 interceptions, and 1 rushing touchdown. We'll touch on the pathetic interception coming up here soon. Jeremiah Love had, as JR mentioned, 11 carries, 79 yards, and a touchdown. 1 carry after he literally hurdled a man and ran it into the end zone to give us what I thought was going to be the dagger and the icing on the cake to spark us to a victory. Notre Dame in total had 123 rushing yards. Bo Collins led the team with 45 reception yards. 0 sacks on the defensive side of things. They did not pass much, but there was 0. When they did, there was 0 sacks. There was only 3 tackles for loss the entire effing game. The entire game. 3 tackles in the backfield for a loss. Xavier Watts led the team with 8 tackles. Gave up 190 rush yards and gave up 198 passing yards with 1 touchdown. You know, looking at the drive chart, Notre Dame drives the field, first possession, Riley Leonard runs it in for an 11-yard touchdown. Place is going nuts. Place was sold out. It was a 100% sellout, and I'll tell you what, the sellout was in fact a sellout because students were piling into the upper bowl. That's how big of a crowd it was on Saturday. They ran out of room in the student section.
Well, the game was over at that point. Once we went up 7-0, we thought we had won. The game was over.
Right. And then so it was 2nd and 5 from the Northern Illinois 17-yard line. Hampton throws to a wide open Brown for an 83-yard touchdown. Hello, wake up. Touchdown Northern Illinois. It's 7-7. Punt for Notre Dame, field goal for Northern Illinois. And then the interception off of the deflection. That first interception. Dangerous throw, got to make that catch over the middle. Not on Riley Leonard. And Denbrock lit up the receiver. Can't think, process it right now. Not feeling the best right now. Can't process who that receiver was, but it was off of his hands. He's got to make that catch. It was intercepted.
I'm going to say it was Mitchell.
Okay, it was not on Riley, in my opinion. Northern Illinois gets held to a field goal. Once again, defense does their job, put in a bad position, holding them to a field goal. And then punt for ND, punt for NIU, punt for ND, punt for NIU, and then the field goal was blocked at the end of the first half to take us into halftime with boos raining down at Notre Dame Stadium.
Boo.
Yeah. And then coming out of the halftime, Northern Illinois misses a field goal. At that point, I thought that was going to spark some momentum for us. We were going to drive it down the field. We do drive it down the field right after that. Jeremiah Love with a 34-yard touchdown run for the Irish. 14-13 Notre Dame. Here we go. Northern Illinois punt. Notre Dame punt. A 3-play, 1 minute, 7-yard drive for 5 yards. Northern Illinois turns it over on downs in the fourth quarter. You ready for this? Notre Dame, another 3-play drive. 1 minute, 26 seconds. Gained 5 yards. Punt. Northern Illinois punts. Northern Illinois had to punt again. Price with a 7-yard rush. Leonard to Collins for 9 yards. Leonard, lazy throw over the middle for an interception. He had Mitchell Evans wide open. He also had Bo Collins wide open, and he decided to take the home run shot into double coverage. Lazy throw. It was a lazy, pathetic throw. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. I've seen high school quarterbacks make better passes than that. And why are we throwing the ball?
That's the real issue. They gave him that play. All you gotta do is turn around and hand the ball off. That's all you gotta do. You don't even have to hand the ball off. You can just snap it and give a designed quarterback run if you're really that worried about it.
Run the damn
And then you get a
ball.
new set of downs and you continue to figure it out. Work your way down. Yeah, right. Again, this is what makes me concerned about. Okay, so last week we come out of half and we talked about this. We went for it on back-to-back fourth downs. We made the first one going for it on our 30. We got the next one too. The refs just decided to screw us out of it. And at that time I thought, well, maybe our coach really isn't dumb and he did learn how to count and he does understand situations and it was a mentality play. When in fact, no, because we did similar things this game in similar decisions, in similar play calls this game. Again.
Last year and the year before.
Again. So it makes you wonder, what's going on over there? Is there...
What is going on?
I don't...
And then after the interception, Northern Illinois takes a 5-minute 20. Oh, and by the way, here's another thing that gets me. With 6 minutes to go, Notre Dame decided to take just a 1 minute 24-second drive, by the way. Northern Illinois takes a 5-minute 24-second drive for the field goal to go up 16-14 with 36 seconds to go. Notre Dame did get themselves in a chance and a spot for the win, but once again, the field goal was...
And another critical thing, and I said it at the time, we called timeout on 3rd and 4 early in the second quarter.
Yes,
and that cut our timeouts down from 3 to 2. And he has repeatedly shown he doesn't understand how to manage the clock and use our timeouts effectively.
Right. Exactly.
And yeah, it's hard to do this at Notre Dame, but it wasn't so difficult for the guy at Northern Illinois.
I'll get you something. Happy birthday, Marcus.
It wasn't that hard for that man to manage the game. He made every correct decision that needed to be made along the way throughout the course of that game. Yeah. He didn't need luck. He didn't need some magic elixir or think that he was smarter than he didn't have some dork standing next to him on the sideline.
Right? He didn't. Happy birthday to Marcus Freeman. You can set this timer. You could set a time. Use it, please. You need to learn how to use a clock and manage a clock. So this is the second time that we've seen a home opening loss in the Marcus Freeman era, and not just a home opening loss to a very inferior opponent that's come into Notre Dame Stadium and won. And at some point, a conversation is going to be needed about Marcus Freeman. Marshall, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was his first year as head coach. It was after a tough game against Ohio State. First year, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Terrible loss. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. 1-win Stanford team. There's no excuse. 10-men against Ohio State. There's no excuse. Louisville blowout loss. There's no excuse. Clemson disaster. No excuse. Northern Illinois. No excuse. This is single-handedly. I did some research. I loved this, JR. You said it yesterday. This is the single worst loss in Notre Dame football history. Period.
Here is one other piece of evidence that will give you some insight as to what they think about Riley Leonard and the decision making behind this. We get a 48-yard field goal blocked at the end of half, right? Who in the right mind thinks that we're going to kick a 63-yarder at the end of the game, which has such an infinitesimal chance of being made? That what would you rather do? Throw a Hail Mary or kick a 63-yarder? You know why you didn't throw the Hail Mary?
Can't get it to the end zone. He can't.
The guy can't throw it. The guy can't get it there. That's exactly right, Lando. So that's why we kicked the field goal, because we got a guy that can't throw it 25 yards down the field.
Yeah, he can't. He cannot.
So we opted for the choice that we knew wasn't going to come out well, because the other guy simply can't do it physically. Yet we still put those people in those positions. So whose fault is that?
Exactly. Leonard as not the move. I said this when we got him. I love peanut butter and jelly. JR said it in the preseason show. The best quarterback is sitting on the bench, and he will all year. And it's unfortunately pathetic that he is.
Well, I'm not so sure he's the best quarterback.
I know who you meant, but still.
He might be the most ready, but I think Carr is the best quarterback on the team. Yeah. I don't know if he's ready, but he's the most skilled.
Give him a chance. Give number 12 a chance.
He can't do what that guy did?
Right. That's true. I'm not sure why we took another quarterback room when we had 3 good ones. Some notes I mentioned that JR actually did have. Jeremiah Love, 11 carries. Mitchell Evans, 2 receptions. 2, not 3. He was even worse. 2 receptions. And then, we couldn't stop the run. He really tore us up. That good running back. He was phenomenal running back. Really talented, skilled. We could not stop him all game long. I'll tell you that. I'm disappointed in that.
We said they had a strong veteran rushing attack with an NFL running back. I mean, this is not anything that we were surprised by. At least we weren't, right?
Right. Little surprised by the result here. I also think we needed to run the ball more. You have arguably a top 10 running back room. In my personal opinion, I think we're a top 10 running team in the country with the talent, at least. And you give the ball to Price 3 times and Love 11. What do you?
Yeah, and those other guys got who are the
Ford, right?
Ford and some other guy got a combined 4 carries, huh?
And there was no play action ran the entire game. There was no bootlegs. There was no deep shots except the one that got interception. There was no misdirections. Where's our screens as well? I mean, don't you want to get your screens out, hit them on the edge, and go turn the corner, hit them on the edge? Nope. Incompetence. Incompetence is the definition of the Marcus Freeman era at Notre Dame.
Take one nice throw to Greathouse that he just completely dropped.
He did. That was the best ball he had thrown all day long.
All year.
Greathouse just flat out dropped it. He was arm wrestling with the defender and made that one last push, and he was late to the ball. It's that simple. Logan, where do we go from here? We're 1-1. We're still ranked number 18 in the country. Still have a shot at the playoff. I wouldn't put this team in the playoff. However, still do. Where does Notre Dame go from here?
God, uh, 2016 creeps up in my
Oh,
head. I mean, I legitimately think it could be that bad. I really do. My biggest issue, like we kind of going back to what you guys said, great stuff, by the way. Uh, you watch an LSU game last year, and you watch the creativity in the offense. You watch him, utilize Jaden Daniels.
playmakers, right?
Where is that? And to me, you want to blame it, the last 3 years, what's it's been. Golden's been really good defensively, but offensively, it's been Tommy, it's been Jared, and now it's Denbrock's fault. And it's a common denominator between all three.
Yes.
Troy has more points than us, than our offense this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. and that's what was it Parker? Was it Reese? And that's the thing. He's not willing to change as much as he talks about it. And that's what's scaring me. You don't see any improvement offensively. You bring in Bo Collins, who has been very good. Very good. And I thought that throw before the pick, that's a risky throw to Bo. Could have easily been picked off. He rifled it in there, and Bo made a play.
Could have went the other way.
But you know what? Throw it up to your best wide receiver and see. We hear all the time about Chris Mitchell. The whole offseason when he came in, his athleticism and his speed, it's never utilized unless it's a screen on second and 10 or third and long. And it's just the same predictable, 10 plays. Like it all seems very similar. There's not improvement anywhere. And that's what's scary. To me, yes, our defense did not play its best, but they had to go into A&M and win that game. And then they had to come home, and our offense completely bent them over multiple times.
Put them in very bad positions. Very bad positions.
In short drives. You don't have to score the ball every time.
Right.
But it is inexcusable to get 1 to 4 yards in 3 plays more than 4 or 5 possessions. And, they say insanity is, just keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. It's not working. And I love Marcus as a person. I think he, has some really good qualities.
We all like the guy. Everybody likes the guy.
But for the first time, I don't know. I wish I could answer your question. And I think you mentioned it last night. You find out a lot in West Lafayette. But now what happens if you go to West Lafayette, you beat them, and then you go back home and play Miami?
So here's a couple things. And what do you do next? So do you run Riley Leonard out there? And have they been running Riley Leonard out there knowing that maybe he isn't fully capable physically, which I don't really want to buy right now because he got the job done at A&M. Now, he took a couple shots in that game against Northern Illinois where you were like, I don't know. And he looked a little bit different trying to throw the ball downfield late in the game. And maybe that's what has hamstrung Denbrock with calling the plays that he knows that only he can take because he's limited physically. He had no spring ball. He had no preseason camp. He literally, it's like Deshaun Watson. I just got done. He's been sitting on the sidelines for the past, I don't know how many months doing Roarback polo shirt commercials. I mean, I need a guy that's got to go in there and get the job done. I was shocked that he was nominated, or not nominated, declared captain. How long's the guy been on campus?
Right.
But again, we're not privy to everything that's going on inside. Right. I don't know what has happened. I can only know about what I saw against A&M, and they got the job done there. So logically, you think you come home against that team, and there shouldn't be any bit of a problem.
And
so there's some disconnect somewhere along the way.
And they proved for the first time in a really long time since I remember, they proved they were more athletic than an SEC school. Athleticism and lack of talent isn't an excuse anymore. You have it. And, and
so that's Ryan Harris, the first thing Ryan Harris said, isn't he our color guy? Mm-hmm. The first thing he said after, because I went on a bike ride. I had to get out of my house. I went on a bike ride with my kids. I had to pedal off some steam.
Hell yeah.
It was like free shoe you, find my tennis shoes, and let it go for a little bit. First thing he said was Notre Dame lost that game when they got on the plane at 12:30 at night, coming home from Texas A&M, and they got home at 4 a.m. and they didn't properly rest. And then they flat out just took their opponent lightly, and I said it, and I thought we could do that. We could get by and play some of our depth and develop some of that. We couldn't do any of that because the other team, their quarterback looked better than ours. Their running back looked better than ours because they actually gave him the ball. He ran the ball 20 times for 100 yards. They targeted him. The guy could barely walk off the field. He was used so much. In fact, they declined putting him back into the game because the coach didn't want him getting hurt any more than he was already gassed. We kept our foot off the brake. Where was that intensity from coach coming out of the locker room or to start the game? I didn't see him yelling and screaming in front of our linemen, trotting out on. Yeah, where was that? Oh, it was a home game. NIU. That's all right. It's NIU. We'll steamroll these guys. I can't wait for Chuck Martin to come in here in a couple weeks, see what he does.
Because he's an even better head coach than
no doubt. Right. No, they're better than Northern Illinois.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Jaden Osbury, real quick, had a hell of a game.
He did. I was going to say Osbury.
My biggest issue, he's your best player defensively that game, consistently. He's not on the field when it's 4th and 2 and you need to get a stop.
I thought Boubacar looked good too early, but I've been hearing about him for a year and a half, and I only saw him for a little bit, but a little bit more than the other people you would rely on. Watt, heady play there, nice. Yeah.
If you don't trust your players, how do you expect them to trust you?
Very true. Very, very true. Before we run out of time here, I would like to talk about what happened in week 2 of college football. Obviously, we were the main target. We had a chance to get us off the spotlight, but a team who was going to be in the spotlight if we hadn't lost was the cheeseburger-eating Michigan Wolverines. The Texas Longhorns go into the big house and roll them 31-12. A late touchdown for Michigan was the 12 points. Thanks for the over. Just hit by a half point. Thanks a lot. Penn State survives 34-27 at Happy Valley against Bowling Green. The MAC had themselves a week, I'll tell you that much. Oklahoma State comes back from down 21-7, wins it 39-31 in double OT against Arkansas. Kansas State comes back and wins at Tulane 34-27. Syracuse upsets Georgia Tech, derails Notre Dame's strength of schedule remaining. Now just Louisville and USC are the 2 toughest projected opponents now. Pitt comes back down 27-6 at Cincy and wins it 28-27. Iowa State stuns Iowa 20-19. Cal stuns Auburn 21-14. South Carolina dominates Kentucky. Bama survives a bad first half, but beats South Florida 42-16 at Saban Field. Illinois upsets Kansas 23-17 in Champaign. Tennessee rolls NC State 51-10 in Charlotte. My goodness, this was a beatdown of all beatdowns. Nebraska handles
I was waiting for it.
Nebraska handles the frauds of Coach Prime in Colorado 28-10. Shedeur Sanders walked off the field with 2 minutes to go in the game. What a frickin' disgrace that team is. What a joke Deion Sanders is. What a joke his kids are. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Oklahoma. Go ahead.
I said, geez.
You don't walk off the field. He was out there flexing his watch before the game to the Nebraska players. You don't walk off the field. You're pathetic and you're a loser. Oklahoma survives Houston 16-12. Clemson, they found their offense. They scored 66 points in a win against Appalachian State. Hey, Michigan fans, can you spell Appalachian State? Oh, oops. Oregon survives Boise State 37-34 with a last-second field goal. The Ducks have looked terrible to start the year in 2024. Their schedule will pick up here soon. As for us, our schedule picks up as well. We're back on Wednesday to preview the Purdue Toilet Makers, as we will see you then. Go Irish!